did 2 whole cars. It was me, Dez, and me 3, right? And on the first car, in small letters, it said, "All you see is," and then, you know, big, you know, block silver letters, it said, "Crime in the city," right?
At the Grand Concourse 149th Street station in the Bronx, graffiti writers gather at what they call the writer's bench.
What's good, what's good, what's good? Live from the Writer's Bench, I'm your man, Kill. We got 2 of my soldiers on deck tonight, JP and Al. What's going on, fellas?
Peace. What up?
Yo, shout out to Bezo, Rap, and Vic. You see, we light up here tonight, but we still gonna rock, you know what I mean? So tonight we're gonna get right into this topic. It's been a topic we've been wanting to talk about on the bench probably since we started. Always been a topic in hip-hop, and me and Ev was talking about it last week and was like, yo, let's just chop it up about it this week. And it's basically just white folk in black culture, and how do we feel about that? You got everything J. Cole said on his joint about, you know, Iggy Azalea, Macklemore, and Eminem, and you've got Iggy Azalea winning awards, you've got, you know, Macklemore winning awards, and then saying, yo, Kendrick deserved it, and you know, a lot of stuff has been talking about things Lord Jamar said on Vlad TV a minute ago, and everybody's been talking about it, and we just wanted to dive into it and just kind of chop it up about it and see how everybody feels about it, if they have a problem with it, and if so, what it is, and if they don't have a problem with it. So we just gonna dive right in. One of the things that if cats don't know, that Lord Jamar on Vlad TV had said a while ago, he basically said something to the extent of white MCs or white people in black culture are basically like renting a room in the house of hip hop that black people own. You know, and that caused a lot of ruckus and everything like that. And then Evan put me down with this link where Scarface was basically saying, you know, that he feels like in another 20 years, 25 years, that hip hop is going to be all white, and it'll be a white face on hip hop. And you know, his thinking was like, when you think of rock and roll, most people never think of black artists with rock and roll. You think of white artists. And even though, you know, you had your Chuck Berrys and your Little Richards, and it's a music that came out of black culture. But when you think about it, you think of white people on the cover of it. And then he even went to the blues, and he was talking about, you know, people like Robert Johnson and B.B. King and Muddy Waters. But when you say blues nowadays, you may think Eric Clapton or Mick Jagger first. So his thinking is, in 20 and 25 years, hip hop could possibly be all white. So, you know, I'll start right now with that. Like, yo, how do you guys feel about, we'll just start with Lord Jamal's comments. How do you feel about it being that white people in our culture, whether R&B, hip hop, whatever, doing black music, that they're just renting a room in the house of hip hop that black folk, you know, built? So what do you think about that, JP?
I actually saw the video that you're talking about, and I wouldn't exactly, I understand what he's saying and why he's saying it, but I wouldn't exactly agree with it. You know, it's about, for me, if you are, you know, the history of the culture and you're really invested in the culture and not just, you know, just doing it because it's cool or whatever, then I really don't consider that you rent a room. You're invested like everybody else that's invested. You know what I'm saying? I mean, of course, it was started by, you know what I'm saying, black people and all that, but I don't feel like you can't hold on to something forever like, yo, this is ours and you're just renting and whatever. If you're true to the culture like that, I don't think, I don't necessarily agree that you're quote unquote renting a room. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you know, there's a backlash of, you know, you seeing the white artists that do get in it, they get highlighted, and that's just because it's so few of them, so it's easy to pick them out and push them to the front. You know what I'm saying? Like the well, not like Eminem, because Eminem is a different case to me, but like an Iggy Azalea, and you know, artists like that. But I mean, I really don't consider it as renting a room. Like if you're true to the culture, like you're part of it. Like you're not renting.
All right, what you think, Al?
I don't know about the actual metaphor itself, but I think that, let me get my thoughts straight. I think that, number one, it's not just, I think it is an issue, but I think we got to look at it a couple different ways. Number one, saying it's a black art form. Now, when you say black, are we talking black American, or are you talking African descent? Because, you know, a lot of times we talk about hip hop, we say it's a black art form, and we mean, some of us mean black American, but you can't front that there was a lot of Puerto Rican cats that assisted in the birth of hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and with that being said, you had very few white graph writers out there too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have to take that into consideration. But when it comes to the culture of music, I think it's a problem. I think it's always been a problem. I think, you know, from rock and roll to blues to jazz to hip hop. I think, you know, but it's not just, you know, a lot of times we have these conversations, you know, a lot of times when I hear these conversations, we're talking about the artists. And the artists play a role, but who plays the bigger role is the labels or the companies or the powers that be,
Right.
that are enforcing that more, and basically doing what I would call somewhat of a whitewash. And that's kind of what Scarface was talking about. Like, it's going to keep happening to a point where you're not going to see any black people doing this art form. It's going to be mainly white people you see in the forefront, and that's already happening. And I think that video that Scarface did, it had to be at least, I would say, maybe 5 years old by now. But I could be wrong, 3 to 5 years old by now as far as that video. But now you're starting to see it. Now, you know, you have these award shows, and, you know, even with R&B, you know, you have a majority of people that are winning awards, white people, not people of color. So I think that's just a historic problem. But, you know, it's racism in its finest sense. But I'm gonna stop there because this can keep going and going and going and going. But to answer your question, I don't know about the metaphor as far as renting a room, because I don't really quite fully understand that. But it being a problem, yes, I fully agree.
Yeah, see, what I took from the metaphor of that is, I guess, just saying, like, you know, you move back home with your mom's, it's your mom's house. You follow her rules. You know what I mean? Like, you have no say in this house. So it's basically like, that's how I took it to mean, like, you know, look, if mom's tells you to be in the house by midnight, that's what it is. Like, it's like, so these white artists really don't have a say of anything. They just need to be happy to, you know, have a roof over their head. So it's really almost like, don't debate it, don't do anything to it. You know, that just is what it is. And I'm with JP and you to an extent of, I don't agree with it, because I mean, one thing I can say is that where I've never really looked at race is with friendship and music. Because to me, as long as you're loyal to me, we good money. And as long as you can make good music, we're good money. You know what I mean? So like JP said, if you're immersed in the culture and you're a part of it, I mean, keep in mind, I love the Beastie Boys. Love them. License to Ill is one of my favorite albums. Me and my man Tree used to go around back in the day in Philly, breaking the little Mercedes-Benz joints off the front of it, putting them on little on shoestrings so we could have a Mercedes joint thing, and just like, you know, the Beastie Boys did. So, and this is like in a white group during the 80s, in the late 80s, where you got Public Enemy coming out. You know what I mean? So I never really looked at the Beastie Boys as white. I just looked at them like they're dope. Okay, yeah, they're white, but at the end of the day, it was just, you're dope. I did not like Vanilla Ice because he was white. I didn't like Vanilla Ice because he was black. You know, Vanilla Ice, Young MC, Tone Loc, they was all in the same boat to me. You know, that's one white dude and two black dudes. So for me, it's never been an issue of, oh, that dude is white, that's messed up. No, I was like, yo, if you dope, you dope, and that's all I can go with on that. So, I mean, for me, with Lord Jamar, I understood what he was saying for me, but I don't agree with it because, like JP said, if you're part of this and you're helping build it and you're helping, you know, it's almost like building a house. If I'm building the foundation of a house and a white dude come over and start helping me, yo, if you want to help, let's build it together. Let's, it's that I didn't feel that way about Lord Jamar. But Ev, you brought up a topic that I wanted to bring up too, and that's the executives and the powers that be that push the music.
Yeah, to me, that's where my argument stands at is that, you know, no, I'm not looking at the individuals who have the passion for the music or passion for the culture. I'm not. You can't sit there. I can't sit there and have a conversation about them, because that's the passion. That's anybody who has passion about anything deserves a right to create it and excel at it. I'm talking about, like, my issue when I say it's a problem. I'm talking about, you know, the like I said, the people who are in power, the white people who are in power that, you know, attempt to push either they're going to create their own white version of something and push that to the forefront, and at the same point in time bring everything that shows the people that have contributed to creating the culture, doing everything they can do to bring that not so much to the forefront. Even at a point now where hip hop is so huge, it's extremely huge now. But so this is the point where you start bringing, okay, it's huge, but it's not necessarily black people that's doing it. It's white people doing it too. Y'all check this out. So I have problems with that. But when it comes to the people that are passionate about the music, or passionate about the graph writing, or passionate about dance, nah, that would be insane to really look at them and be like, oh, you're wrong for doing that. You have to look at, to me, the powers that be, because they're the issue.
Right. Now, I agree with you, and I was going to say, like, even the thing we had talked about a minute ago when I was saying, about the Check the Technique book, I was saying where, like, Leah Cohen wanted MC Search to write for Rakim. And, the first thing like that Bezo had said was, the white dude not understanding the culture wanted to do that. And, my thing was, I don't know if it's necessarily a white thing per se. But those are the powers that be at the label, but it's just somebody not understanding the culture. But for what you're talking about is that when record executives are putting an Iggy Azalea in a place with so many spins on the radios and so many video, spins, just everything, and making it so, like I don't even listen to the radio, and I've heard that Iggy Azalea song probably somewhere in a commercial or something like that. I don't even know the name of it, but I've heard it, you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know, she worked for something. I can't remember what it was, but I know coming up for this year's Grammy, they're already predicting she'll win it over a lot of other true hip hop artists. And my question, I guess, for you all is that, for the most part, we know award shows that real hip hop really rarely is ever going to win at the Grammys like that. I think the last time it maybe when the Roots won for You Got Me, and it was like everybody was so happy, like we finally, somebody real won it or whatever like that. But I've never seen so many people get upset when, the rap hip hop wins and the real hip hop doesn't. But now that it's white people winning it, and I guess it's the whack hip hop, like now we're up in arms about it. Do you guys think that is because of race? Because or have you all gotten upset when real hip hop didn't win before? Or are you upset that Iggy Azalea may win a Grammy, or Macklemore is going to win a Grammy and outbeat Kendrick Lamar? Like, do those things upset you? What do you think, JP?
For me, I don't, the Grammys and all that, those award shows, that's not the barometer of, success in the culture to me. Because, you got to understand that whole, and that's a process of how the whole Grammy nomination and selecting the winner system, that is flawed, because you have people who are voting, who are part of the Grammy association, or what, I forgot what you call it, but who vote, who may not know, they don't follow hip hop like that. You may have a jazz artist or another artist that they don't know who any of the nominees are, but the most popular one that they might not even know Iggy Azalea's song, but they know because they see her everywhere. Oh, she's probably the biggest one in the rap, so let me check her name. And that's how most of the people are. They're ignorant to the culture that vote on it. Most of them, and that's why you get the most popular people winning that award. Maybe not the best, but the most popular. So that whole system is flawed in that. So I really don't get upset, because it's been that way, since they started with hip hop Grammys and stuff like that. For the most part, at first it was an issue when the hip hop award wasn't even televised.
Right.
And there was a petition back in the day with Jazzy Jeff and all them back, all that, and Fresh Prince and all that. But now it's come to a point where you don't really expect it. Like if somebody you want to see win, like an Outkast, or what, you happy about that and things like that. But I don't get mad at stuff like that no more. Like I take it with a grain of salt, really. So that doesn't bother me who really wins. It's nice to see somebody who we think worthy. It's nice to see that. But if they don't, I'm not surprised, because I know that system is flawed.
Now tell me this, but do you get, like, I know you're saying you don't get mad at that. Would you get mad if Iggy Azalea wins, or if you're watching it and Macklemore wins it over Kendrick Lamar? Does the fact of them being white, like, does that anger you? Does that make it work? So it's not just, not even the real hip hop is winning, but this whack white hip hop is winning.
Whack white. I guess it could add to it, but ultimately I don't I think it plays a factor that they're popular and white. You know what I'm saying? Even with you know, and this is not hip hop, but with Robin Thicke, you know what I'm saying? He had a big year and he won, you know, awards and stuff like that. But for years he put in his work. Like Macklemore put in his time. Like he's not just a new white artist. He put in his time. Like he wasn't on my radar, but I did the research, and he put in his time for years and years doing this hip hop thing. So it's real. So now he's getting his just due. I can respect that. You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily think his album was better than Kendrick, but that's a whole other story. But Iggy Azalea, I think the biggest thing with her is that she's a white girl from Australia who sounds like something that she's really not. You know what I'm saying? I think that throws a lot of people off. So I feel like that whole, not that it's a false a persona, but it kind of is, and that's what throws people off about her. Not so much that she's white, because and she's not that nice either, but you feel like she's blonde, 6 foot blonde hair with hips and ass, and she can hold a crowd or whatever, and that's attractive. People are going to push that out there. I guess I'm kind of desensitized in a way, because, you know, not that I don't expect us to get past that, but I mean eventually it will. But I know for now it really doesn't bother me. But I can understand why it does with other people.
What about you, F?
Well, to answer your question about, you know, because the question was, do we get upset when white people win awards, and did we get as upset when black people won awards? Right. And to answer the question, I kind of stopped watching the award shows, because I used to get really upset back in like the 90s. You know, when, to me, you know, you had some of your best hip hop out there, but it wasn't winning awards. So I kind of stopped watching during that time, because, you know, I did get very upset then, just as upset as I would get now. For me, it doesn't make a difference, because it doesn't necessarily change my life. However, you got to look at it from a different viewpoint, because we're not the artists out there trying to get the award. So if I do a quick comparison, my pop used to work for GE, right? And there was a promotion. There was a job that he was going for, and he was qualified for it. He had experience for it, and it was a white dude that was qualified, had experience. My pop just had more experience and more qualifications. Of course, he didn't get the job. The white dude got the job. I think we got to look at it like that, because in that world, winning awards for different artists is like a promotion. You do get to go back and redo your contract. You get to go back and determine what you're going to get off of the next album. You get people call you more for more work. So it is like a promotion. I think, because we know the award shows are whack, we kind of be like, but for them it's a reality, because it's their job. So do I think people should be mad? Yeah, I think they should be mad when the white people win. I think they should be mad when the white people win. If they're not qualified, if they shouldn't be in that position. And especially when the white people win, and then they shouldn't be in that position, because that just showed something. It's like, yo, not only are we not going to give it to you, even though you should definitely get it, we're going to give it to, John Sam over here, because this is what we're trying to portray to the world. And I think perception is everything, especially when you're talking about a worldwide culture and how the world looks at it. So the world's going to look at hip-hop as white American culture. Same thing that happened to rock, same thing that happened. Like I said, I don't want to be a broken record up here, but we're going to wind up going into some of the same conversations, because we're talking about something that's historic, that's already happened, and that continues to happen, and it's happening again in front of our eyes with another art form, another genre of music that was created by people of color.
Right, I know what you're saying, and I guess the bug part for me is, I think I just, and again, and I said it earlier, and I don't want to differentiate from white whack and whack. It's just whack music. You know what I mean? Like and Macklemore could have put in all the work they did. I just don't enjoy his music personally. You know what I mean? So for me, dude is whack. When I heard the joint, I'm like, oh, okay, I ain't feeling him. Like I said, I really haven't even heard Iggy Azalea. So, my big thing is just like, if Kendrick Lamar was a white artist and dropped Good Kid, Mad City, then I would want him to win, because I feel like that was one of the best albums of that year. So it doesn't matter to me if the black person wins or the white person wins. I just wish the most well-deserved person, like you said, that's a good analogy with the promotion. I just want the most qualified person to win. I don't care if they're white or black. I just want the person who has the dope. If it's for album of the year, then I want the person who had the dopest album of the year to win. If that artist is Eminem, so be it. If it's Kendrick Lamar, so be it. If, whatever, especially if it's hip hop, you know what I mean? And this may go into what we talked about prior before, and it's time to chop up the genre of hip hop like you do with everything else. You've got smooth jazz and traditional jazz, and let Iggy Azalea win an award over there for hip hop or something else, but give us our hip hop to where we can have our Kendrick Lamars. I would love to hear about Dilated Peoples winning an award one day. I'd love to hear about y'all know. I would love to hear about artists like that being able to win an award, and I know that's never going to happen. I know groups like Dilated Peoples and Step Brothers and Gangstar and Pete CL, and I'm naming groups that don't even exist no more. But
Nas,
I would love for one day for me to really believe. And I'm with you, Ab. I haven't watched an award show in years, like nothing, But because of social media, it's gonna get back to you that Macklemore won and he apologized to Kendrick. But I would love for one day for that to be it. So again, for me, it just goes back to I just wish the most qualified person would win. Now, let me ask y'all this, just going all the way back in the day with the Beastie Boys and Third Base, and JP, you made a great point about building on the foundation of hip-hop, and I think a lot of people, it's bugged when Jay-Z did the Magna Carta commercial with Samsung, it amazed me how many people through the world didn't know who Rick Rubin was. You know what I mean? So many people were like, yo, who's the old white dude with the beard? You know what I mean? And a lot of young cats actually watch, the Writer's Bench. So Rick Rubin to me was an intricate, huge building block of hip hop. You know what I mean? You're talking about the dude who's behind Beastie Boys, who's behind who's behind PE, who basically built Def Jam from the ground up with Russell. So growing up in the 80s, did race ever affect you guys or how you felt about when you saw Third Base? Were you like, oh, here's a white group? Or how did you guys look at color at that time coming up when hip hop was predominantly black? JP?
Nah, specifically with Third Base, I always liked Third Base. You know what I'm saying? I love Pete Nice. You know what I'm saying? I thought he was super smooth. You know what I mean with it, and Search was the dancing And they had dope songs. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, the music has to shine through. Like I don't care what, if you nice, it's undeniable. Like it's undeniable. If you're basing it straight on color, then that's ridiculous. So but when back in the days, race never played a part for me. Of course I knew who Rick Rubin was, and I knew he was, founded Def Jam with Russell and all that. But it didn't really play a part to me as far as race. Like, if you was nice, you nice, man. That's it.
All right. What about you, Al?
Nah, not at all. I was a huge Beastie Boys fan. Actually, I think that was the first tape that I actually got as like a Christmas gift, was License to Ill. But nah, not at all. I think back, because during that time, it was like what was dope is what was seen, and you just saw what was dope, So you would have your Third Base up there, and you would have, Nice and Smooth up there, and it all made sense for all that to be together because it was dope. Third Base did their thing over here, Nice and Smooth did their thing, PE did their thing, Beastie Boys, everybody had the thing that they did, and you respected that. The same way, if you go back and look at Wild Style, Cats wasn't like, oh no, you the white dude, you can't go out here and write. The little short cat, I don't even remember what his name was, but he was out there bombing. Yeah. Because Cats was nice. I think, and that was one of the beauties of hip hop, because it wasn't about it wasn't necessarily about how much money you can make, even though we all talked about money, everybody wanted to make money. But it was like, your skill set is what elevated you, is how well you did whatever it is that you do. So no, to answer your question, I knew they was white, but I knew Run DMC was black. But it didn't matter when it came to the music. It's just like, yo, this shit is dope, then it's dope.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And the same with me, Sam, like y'all two just said. You talk about I got over there on the wall the Together Forever tour, with Run and the Beastie Boys. Like it was I wasn't ever in my mind like, why they got these white dudes? Are they trying to mix hip hop or not like that? I mean, it was like you said, it went together. It played in sync. The DJ mixed it. Everything went right. I mean, Paul Revere. I mean, Time to Get Ill. I mean, shit, I brought my first pair of Stan Smiths because of the Beastie Boys. You know what I'm saying? So there's by no means like, nah, they was white. Like you said, it was just, if it's dope, it's dope. What I want to chop it up now about, because, you know, we talk about hip hop all the time, and I really don't hear this as much as I hear it in hip hop, but when you talk about the whole blue-eyed soul phenomenon from going back to the 70s with your Tina Marie's and your Hall & Oates and your Doobie Brothers and Michael McDonald and Bobby Caldwell and all those things, you know, at that time, again, for people who may not know, you know, videos wasn't around. So a lot of our parents didn't know that Tina Marie was necessarily white. You know, you didn't know Hall & Oates was white. You just heard the music. And it was almost like you're shocked when it's like, oh snap, that's a white person singing. I thought that was somebody else. I forgot what award it was that came on recently, and T was watching it, and Bobby Caldwell came out and did, you know, What You Won't Do for Love, and she was like, yo, I never knew dude was white, you know. And so all of that, but one thing that I've seen a difference in 2006, Justin Timberlake had dropped Future Sex Love Sounds, which I love, you know, and Christina Aguilera had dropped Back to Basics, which I love. You know, for cats who don't know, Primo produced like 90% of it. So if you rock with Primo, you should definitely check out that album because it's a dope album. And it kind of hit me like, wow, like I'm looking back at the end of the year like, yo, the two dopest R&B albums of the year was two white folk. You know, and again, I didn't have a problem with it, but it was just a shock to me like, wow, yo, we need to step our game up. Like, you know, and again, it's not no diss or nothing like that, but it was just like a minute to think about it. But then when I started to realize the difference between Blue Eyed Soul now and then is that now a lot of these white artists go out to get black producers to get that black sound. You know, Timberlake is with Timberlake. Like if Justin Timberlake dropped the album right now without Timberland producing it, it will probably take me a while to get around to it. Because I know if you're with Timberland, you're going to have a certain type of sound. Josh Stone, same thing, introducing Josh Stone. Her album came out in 2007. Raphael Sadiq produced that. You know, Robin Thicke's biggest hit, Pharrell produced that. So the Blue Eyed Soul now is now becoming white people going to get black producers to get that sound versus Blue Eyed Soul back in the 70s and the 80s when Hall & Oates produced their music, where they themselves were able to create that sound for them. Number one, how do you guys feel about Blue Eyed Soul? And number two, does that difference mean anything? Does it mean anything that before the Tina Marie's, the Doobie Brothers, they were able to create that music themselves? And now it's not, I'm not saying you're a fraud, but I'm just saying, I don't know if Justin Timberlake himself can create the type of music that Timbaland and these other black producers can do for them. So JP, what do you think?
I first of all, I like the music. You know what I'm saying? I like Robin Thicke. I like Justin Timberlake. You know, all that stuff. The difference. I mean, I think they could still, for instance, let's speak about it. Robin Thicke and Justin Timberlake. I think they still could create. Like if he decided he wasn't going to make another album with Timberland, I would still pick it up because I feel like they've been students of the music for so long they can do it. And plus, like, you know, Justin's first album, Timberland did a couple joints. It was mainly the Neptunes, you know what I'm saying? And
but it's still the black. We're going
right. I mean, and Tina Marie had Rick James, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of the same thing with that. And Robin Thicke was a writer before he became a big singer. You know, he used to write for artists and stuff like that. So I really don't see that as being, you know, a fraud or nothing like that. I think I like the music that they put out, and it seems very authentic. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't seem like, you know, they're just trying to insert themselves in a culture they're not really fond of, or just to make money or just to be famous or like that. They really love that music, and I feel like it shows. So I have no problem with it at all. I actually love all the music.
All right, no doubt. What about you, El?
Don't talk about Michael McDonald, man. No, because I love some Michael McDonald. Look, man, my thing is, well, a couple things. Kid, when you said the two albums that came out last year were by two.
This was 2006. This was 2006.
Okay.
In my opinion, somebody else may differ. Somebody else.
No. I'm with you, but I think part of that story still shows like what's happening on the label level, because that's the two that actually made it to the surface, to the masses. Mm-hmm. Whereas you got a bunch of you know, because there's right now, I didn't realize this, but there's been a bunch of like R&B, rhythm and blues bands and musicians that just can't get out for whatever reason, and they're dope. It's not like they're not dope. There's a lot of them that are dope that can't get out, but you know, the labels will push, you know, they'll push the white people out because, you know, in their mind, labels' mind, it'll sell more because white population will buy it.
Right.
And I think if we talk about going back and we're looking at history as far as like musicians and you know, white musicians going to black people, yes and no. Like Malcolm McDonald, he was down with the Doobie Brothers, and there was a bunch of white dudes in that joint. It was like one or two brothers.
It was one brother in the group, like the rest.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But also, you know, we have to, you know, of course, you know, you have your, you know, your bands out of Philly, you know, your Funk Brothers out of Detroit, but you also have Muscle Shoals, you know, who was a bunch of white dudes that was doing like, you know, doing soul, and I don't know if they're doing funk, so to speak, but they did some soul stuff, and Cass was going to go see them. You had cats like Aretha Franklin or what's soul girl's name? From Chicago. I can't think of the sister's name, but you know, cats will go down there for that sound. So I think, you know, you do have some of that now, as opposed to then. But I don't know. I mean, you do and you don't. I think now it's, you know, it still goes according to what the label's willing to put out, willing to pay for, I should say. I think now, you know, you have some artists like, I think, you know, Robin Thicke's first album, you know, I know he was a white dude, but I know he was in love with a sister. Because, you know, that motherfucker was singing. He wrote some shit about that girl, cuz I don't know what Paula put on his ass, but I mean, he had an experience, you know what I mean? So I think, you know, again, when we talk, you know, we go into the passion of what these artists are experiencing, and whenever I think about artists and their passion, that's the connection between them and God, and how they choose to, you know, interpret it to the world. So to me, no man can really come in and be like, you ain't doing that the way you should be doing that. I think that's just that's their own thing. But that's my personal opinion. I mean, I don't really have a good answer, because I think it's such, you know, when it comes to that, the lines get a little blurred, because again, we're talking about the artist. It's just passion is a deep thing, and is deep rooted.
Right.
And I'm a little bit on both sides of the fence. I mean, I think for me, it was Bug just kind of trying to put those two things together and just finding that out like that. Because I mean, Rick did do some Tina stuff, but keep in mind, Tina did a lot of her production herself. Like Tina was a one-man band per se. You know what I mean? So, and I was just looking at it from the standpoint of I don't have a problem of you going to a black producer to, I guess, get that sound. Like, and I mean, because I remember this with Justin Timberlake, me not wanting to even go into Tower Records in DC over on GW's campus and be seen buying that album. Like, because that was him coming out of his NSYNC days, and the hip hop dude in me could not want to be seen buying a Justin Timberlake album. But I almost felt like he was deciding to get away from that pop market, because when I heard Pharrell and Timbaland are producing it, I'm like, okay, that's what caught my attention. Without those two names, I don't think myself and a lot of other black people would have gravitated towards Justin, you know, because unless you liked NSYNC, you know what I mean? Like, if you liked NSYNC, then cool, Justin's coming out with a solo album. I didn't like NSYNC. So if you tell me Justin's coming out with a solo album, I'm not buying it. But then when you tell me, oh, Pharrell and Timbaland are doing it, oh, okay, well, then I do want to buy it because I'm fans of theirs. Like, I brought Justin's first album off of being a fan of the Neptunes. And you know what I'm saying? Even the Aguilera album, same thing. Pop artists. When I heard she's doing something with Premier, you're looking for a certain sound that may not necessarily be what your background was, because these albums that Justin have dropped don't sound like no NSYNC albums. You know what I mean? So I just looked at it like, I don't have a problem with that, because like you said, Ev, if you're a fan of that sound and you want to get that, then yeah, you have to go after the people who are able to provide it to you. And Ev, you bring up a great point of the label being behind it, because again, we're talking about Christina Aguilera and Justin Timberlake, two of the biggest pop stars on the planet, whose label is going to give them a budget to have Timbaland in the studio for 6 months. You know, the average person isn't going to be able to afford that. I remember when Premier was talking about doing that album, he was flying out to L.A. Now, if you know Premier, Primo really don't leave D&D too much. So if you getting Premier to leave D&D to fly to L.A., there's a lot of money behind it. So like you said, Ev, there's a lot of other artists that are out there. But again, for me, I love all of it. I mean, I love Robin Thicke. I mean, again, it just, no matter if it's hip hop or not, I was just asking the question because I never really have heard too much hate on Robin Thicke, but I hear more hate of whites in hip hop than whites in R&B. You know, and I really don't know why that is, or, you know, because you could kind of say R&B is ours too. If we're Brody and everything, then I mean R&B is ours too. So I just never really hear any complaints about white people in R&B, but I always hear complaints about white people in hip hop. And it may just be because, again, for me, they're I think, I don't want to say white people. I guess they make better music with R&B. I don't know, you know, because there's not too many white artists that I can think of off the top of my head. So I'm like, I don't like in the R&B game, whereas versus there are a lot of white people I don't like in the hip hop game, you know. So again, I guess it's a diss against Macklemore. It's just not my cup of tea, you know. If JP, you saying the dude has worked and he's putting his time, salute to him. It's just not my cup of tea. So, but
it's probably because too you sing hip hop, you know, from its birth, as opposed with R&B, which comes with rhythm and blues and soul. You know, that's something that's been, you know, just growing for the last couple of decades.
Right.
So because you've probably seen it from its birth and seen what it is, and I mean, and that goes into just a quick thing about, you know, the art of the oppressed. The reason why a lot of shit comes from, you know, people of color, because a lot of that shit is the art of the oppressed, and white people ain't oppressed. So, you know, they might not be able to dig that deep and create something like hip hop, or create something like jazz, or create something like rock and roll or blues. You know, so, you know, I think, you know, that talks about the actual birth of it. But I guess since you've seen the birth, especially when we talk about hip hop, that is definitely the music of the oppressed during that time. You know, hip hop came from broke black people in inner city.
Right.
So, you know, black and Latino in the inner city. So, you know, you see that, you know, start moving, and then you see a white dude come in, and, you know, because we've seen it in its birth, we're gonna be like, oh, hold up. Hold up, dude. How you just get in here? You know, you ain't, you know, you ain't had no rough days like we done had rough days, but, you know, so I mean, that's just my suggestion, probably why, you know, Kill, it's easier for you to see it in R&B than in hip hop.
No, I think that's a dope point too, because like, I guess that's the thing. This is our generation's. We've kind of seen it from the beginning. I mean, I was born in '74, so I mean, I wasn't in the park with Kool Herc, but it was like we've seen the growth of it. Versus, like you said, with R&B was already here. It was permanent. It was already there. With that, I guess the biggest thing is now, do you guys agree with Scarface? Because it's bugged out, because when you sent me the video, I had no idea it was 3 to 5 years old. You know what I mean? So he's really prophesizing things that have already started to happen.
Right.
Do you guys honestly think that in 20 years there may be like a white person would be the face of hip hop? Kind of like how we've joked around and said before, like, yeah, you know, if we had a logo like the NBA with Jerry West, it would be KRS-One. Do you really think that at the rate things are going, that in 20, 25 years that a white person could be the face of hip hop, and blacks may be not non-existent, but now become the minority in the culture? What do you think, Ab?
Yes and yes, but I think it won't be hip hop anymore. I think, you know, it's going to happen the way that, again, if I look at it historically, I think it'll die down. I think the whole sound itself will change, and it will become something that's more palatable for the Midwest white people. You know what I mean? So I think, it'll I don't think it's going to be hip hop anymore. I mean, who knows what will happen to hip hop? But I think once it gets to that point, it won't be hip hop, but I think will it be all white? I can see it happening. I hate to say like what will or won't happen. I mean, I can see it like this. Not that I think it will, but I can definitely see it happen. I hope it doesn't, but I can see it. I can see it making that transition.
All right. What about you, JP?
You know, it's a hard one. I mean, I guess I could. I could kind of see it happening. I'm kind of with Ev. Like, I really don't think it will, because I mean, even right now, you could say for a lot of people, the face of hip hop is a Eminem. You know what I'm saying? It's interchangeable with Jay-Z or whatever, or Kanye or something like that. But you know, Eminem has been literally probably the most successful hip hop artist musically, as far as selling albums and, you know, worldwide, than anybody. You know, his impact has been ridiculous, and you know, over the past decade. But they're not enough. There are other white artists, you know, like Mac Miller and Asher Roth and other white, you know, like Iggy Azalea and all these. But they're not a bunch of Eminems who are, you know, respected as much as M is. You know what I'm saying? If a lot more come around and they're just as successful, I can see that happening. But other than that, I can't really say that. I mean, it's possible, but I'm gonna say nah. I can't see it happening.
Hey, you know, can I add to that? There's an important part that I think I kind of left out. I have to look at what's happening right now, and I think the next couple of years will really determine what's going to happen for the history of this music. Because, and the reason why I said it is because, you know, I like Kendrick Lamar. I think the dude is really dope. I think he's really dope. But I'm looking at his last two performances. One was on SNL, and the other one was on Steve Colbert.
Yeah, so
and both of those performances had a deep focus on racial consciousness.
Right.
And you know, he was the last act on the Steve Colbert Report, which was like, you know, a very white, you know, liberal, not so liberal type of show. And then, you know, this cat is on SNL, and you know, he kind of like he was on SNL, but he was on SNL on some like real, like, you know, pro-black type thing, and that really is from where he speaks. He's not afraid to go there. Mm-hmm. So I think things like that are in the limelight right now, and it depends on what happens with the music. You know, D'Angelo is out. If his album goes really huge, D'Angelo speaks, you know, has some little stuff here and there that deals with those with some of that, and what's happening in the world, what's happening in politics. I think all that trickles down to what happens in music. So I think, like, just for me to clarify, it's really hard for me to say. I think like what's happening in this moment and what happens within the next year or two is going to determine really what I feel like we're in a fork of the road. It could go this way if people keep fighting and you know, we keep our momentum in our focus on forward movement for people of color, then it could go this way. But if everybody kind of chills out and let it just fizzle, then it'll definitely go that way. So I guess for me, I'm kind of like in a little bit of a fork in the road when it comes to that answer.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's one of those things where it's like, it's bugged because I'm sitting here like, nah, that can never happen. Like, that's my first reaction. When I saw the joint you sent, it was like, nah, that can never happen. But then I'm sitting around thinking, I'm sure somebody said that back when the blues was popping. Like, nah, there'll never be a time where there ain't some dude. You know, in my mind, I'm like, there's never going to be a time where somebody ain't in their crib banging on their MP or they, you know, on their machine or something like that. Ain't going to be no street corner where somebody ain't spitting some rhymes. But like I said, I'm sure somebody said back with the blues, like, well, there ain't never going to be a time when black folk ain't depressed and ain't going to have, it ain't never going to be a time where, you know, white people want to do rock and roll over Chuck Berry, you know, and it's happened. You know, it's literally happened. You know, Space was talking about, like, you know, name me one black band outside of Living Color. Like, you know, and I don't even know last time Living Color had an album out, you know. So, and when they did come out, I won't front, it was like, yo, why these black people doing rock and roll? Like, it literally, and you saying that to somebody my mother's age would give you that look like, what do you mean? Why would they be doing rock and roll? You know, and I'm like, why? Because white people do rock and roll. Like, so my first reaction is no, that can happen, but it has happened, you know, throughout history. So I guess the scarier part is like you said, being alive and being able to watch it happen and not do anything about it. It's almost like watching a car, somebody you love being a car crash, and you can't prevent it from happening, but you're watching it happen. You know, and like you said, for more other artists to step up. And again, you know, I never want anybody to take this the wrong way. Again, I don't have a problem with Eminem being the face of hip hop, whether he's white or black, because to me, M is nice. You know what I mean? He's one of the, and I'm not an Eminem fan at all, but I do respect the hustle he's going through to it. Now, I mean, somebody else may mind M being the face of hip hop, but like you said, John, to me, it's either M or J. You know, normally when I hear people talk about hip hop and when they're really not hip hop heads, I always hear the same names. I hear M, I hear J, you know, and maybe, I don't know who else they may say. I've heard T.I., and I'm like, I don't even know how he got to the top, but, you know, so to me, that's not shocking. But I guess to answer the question, it's just like, my first reaction is that would never happen, but seeing what history has done, it's almost like, yeah, I guess it could happen. And like I said, the scary part is, you know, I'm thinking that video from Face was recently, you know, so for you to tell me it's 3 to 5 years ago, I'm like, wow, you know, this dude just might be on to something right here. But let me do this. I want to run down some MCs, some people, some folk, and just get y'all vibe on what you think about them and where it's been. I mean, we've talked about the Beastie Boys and third base. How do y'all feel about Eminem? Do y'all feel like, you know, I'm like, hey, I don't mind if he's the face, but how do y'all feel about him? Do you feel like this dude is he should be the face, he could be the face, or just how do y'all feel about him in general? JP?
Let me just first say I've never bought an Eminem album, you know, but I've heard probably most of them, but I've never bought them. And for me, you know, I've never heard Eminem songs in the club when I used to go to clubs like that. You know, it's always interesting to me, but I've always respected how nice he was. And what I also respect is, you know, he's true to the culture. He respects the history of the culture. He's nice. And it's one of those things where, for me, I think M is like, he puts out his music and then he goes away. You know what I'm saying? Right. He's not into extra. I mean, he has clothing lines and he got the Shade 4-5 and all that other stuff. But him physically, you don't see him in the news all the time. He just comes out when it's time for his music. And even when he puts out the album, you don't see him in mad interviews and stuff like that. He's just about the music and that's it. And I respect that. You know what I'm saying? Nowadays, everybody got to put an album out. They got to go here. They got to go there. You see him. It's over. It's too much. It's too much information coming at you. It's not like that with him. And I respect it. It's still a little bit of mystique there. You know what I'm saying? So I respect him. I think he's dope.
Right. What do you think, Al?
You said him being the face of hip hop?
I mean, just everything about him. Like, do you like him, or I mean, do you respect his game? Like, just what do you feel about Eminem?
I mean, I think what Eminem is, I think Eminem is a very nasty MC when he chooses to be. But the reason why I don't necessarily like Eminem is because he don't really choose to be a nasty MC majority of the time. You know, I can't just do silly, man. And it's not because he's white, because he's silly. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I bought 8 Mile soundtrack, and that to me, he has one of the dopest songs that pertains to MCs. He's written one of the dopest songs that pertains to MCs on that album. But, you know, that's not the M that you get when you buy his records. You get a lot of silly stuff. And, I mean, I've never been, you know, Beastie Boys was my silly, but then Beastie Boys still has some type of seriousness to what they was doing as well. But to me, every time M comes out, it's some silly shit. So I kind of like stopped checking for him after a while because I'm like, yo, the cat is nice. I mean, you know, you see him on the cypher and he's ridiculous. But what you get on Wax when he puts the album out, you get like, you know, you get his palatable to the Midwest. And actually, I hate saying the Midwest because when I say Midwest, I be thinking like Cleveland. It's not Cleveland. I'm talking about like Middle America, like Kentucky.
Right.
You know what I mean? And Montana, like, right. You know what I mean? That type of shit. I'm not a fan of Eminem because of that. Like, you know, I respect him. I respect him. You know, he came up as an MC, as MCs do. But I think his choice of what to put out, I just, you know, I can't do silly. I never really could. And when I first heard M was on a mixtape from this white dude that was, you know, that I used to, you know, really be cool with. Actually, I haven't seen the cat in a while. And then I thought he was silly. But then when he came out, he actually was kind of nice. He was spitting. And then but he's still, to me, it's just too silly, man. I don't want to keep saying that, but M too silly for me.
No, I feel you. And I mean, I think when M first dropped with the whole Hi, My Name Is, for me, it was just like, I felt like it was almost like this dude named Howard Stern. Like, I felt like it was like shock rap. I felt like dude was just gonna try to say the wildest shit to try to get attention and everything like that. So like you said, JP, never brought an M album. Actually, the first one I listened to, oh God, I don't even know what the name of it was, but it was like, I guess his third or fourth album. But even on that album, it was still like, I know what you're saying, but it was still the shock factor. Like he was talking about Christopher Reeves, like, and it was even a skit where like his brother was like, "Yo, are you fucking talking about Christopher Reeves? Like the nigga's dead. Like what's wrong with you?" You know? And it was still that shock thing. But at the end of the day, like you said, when Eminem chooses, when I hear him on Renegade with Jay, I hear a focused MC. When I seen him on the joint, like all the ciphers, even the one that he just recently did with Slaughterhouse, where they went to everybody's different town, like the joint that like where he just spit for like 20 minutes was ridiculous to me. So again, respect his game, just not a big fan. I think another thing about, I think one of the biggest things of going back to what you said, JP, in the beginning of white people helping to build upon this culture. I mean, when I look up, somebody asked me the other day, "Yo, Kill, who's your favorite producer now?" And I was like, Alchemist. Like, I didn't even have to think about it. I'm like, Alchemist. I think Alchemist is the dopest producer, 2000 on. I don't care about no Just Blaze, no Kanye West. Alchemist, to me, has put out more music, more dope music. This dude drops like 5-6 albums a year. I think he's incredible. I totally forgot for a while this dude was white. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you may say, who's another one of your favorite producers? Jake One, out of Seattle, you know, who's been on the bench. White dude. You know what I mean? Somebody may say, who's another favorite one of your producers? Now, Marco Polo, white dude, Toronto. You know, so again, it's like, if you ask me who are my top 3 producers right now, they're 3 white boys. And I have no problem with that. I'm like, yo, that's dope. And I'm not even of the mindset of, yo, well, black folk need to step up. No, I mean, do what you do. But right now, these 3 dudes, to me, are probably putting out the best music for me. You know what I mean? A lot of people nowadays love Action Bronson. I'm personally not a fan because I think dude sounds just like Ghost. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like the most ironic thing is Ghost was actually on the track with him, which is bugged me because, you know, Ghost is the king of the shark biters and you bite my shit. So I was shocked to see him get on a joint with him. But like you said, if nobody bite nowadays really don't mean nothing. But Action Bronson is a big MC who, you know, a lot of people like, you know. Brother Ali. Y'all know I love Brother Ali. I think Brother Ali's last album was fucking 5 mics. You know what I mean? All produced by Jake One. So 2 white people made one of the dopest political albums in hip-hop. You know, so it's almost like, how can you get mad at that for them doing that? You know what I mean? So, I mean, I like I said, for me, it just still continues to go back. If you make dope music, that's all I care. If Jake One made whack beats, I'd be like, he's whack. And he's not whack because he's white. He's whack because he makes. He's whack. Too many white and whack going on. He makes whack beats, not because he's white. So, I don't know. Like, what do you think of the cat? I think Yellow Wolf is his name, down with Slaughterhouse. Ev, do you rock with dude?
I don't know him that well. The first real thing I seen from him is when they did that thing and they were going to each of their places that they grew up. I respect the cat, man. I respect him. He has a different style, completely different style. At first, when I first heard him a while back, I thought he was just like a break off of M, which you can hear the M influence. But he's really on his own thing, and he's not afraid to be, I'm a white dude from the country, and that's what I am. And I'm like, all right, cool, you white dude from the country. Then, you know, for me, it's like, I respect when people just going to be what they're going to be. Now, if he was a white dude from Harlem, I'm going to say, I'm a white dude from Harlem. Okay, cool, be who you going to be. Right. But to answer your question, yeah, I don't really check for him, because I don't know if it's a style I could take a whole album of, but I appreciate his style and his character on Wax.
All right, what you think about him, JP? You up on dude?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of him, of course, from years back, but I don't know enough about him. There was one song that I heard from him. This was a few years ago, and I didn't know it was him until I actually saw it online, and I saw it was. I was like, oh, this is his song, and I thought it was dope. It's a song called "Good Girl," and the song is dope. It's dope. It got some dude singing on the hook, and lyrics is on point. Everything, and I was like, wow, I didn't know that was Yellow Wolf, because I think I heard something else from him and he sounded totally different, so I didn't know it was the same person. But I really don't know enough about him, you know what I'm saying? I know, you know, he got a following out there and people dig him, so, you know.
Right. And I don't really know a lot about the dude. I was just I was just looking up like White Axe, and I was just like, I didn't realize it was so many I haven't heard of. I mean, we know the BG's third base. You remember Milkbone, the dude keeping it real?
Yeah.
I forgot about him. I mean, I forgot about Everlast from House of Pain. I mean,
yeah,
around, that's hip hop classic. House of Pain has a couple of bangers. As much as I watch basketball, I hear Jump Around every damn game. So
and House of Pain, Everlast originally was with Ice-T. He was part of Syndicate Posse before he went to House of Pain. So he's been around for a minute. He was always nice.
Yeah, and then there was that whole everybody who had a label had to get a white rapper when Timbaland had Bubba Sparks with the Ugly Joy. You know what I mean? And then I forgot, everybody was just grabbing up white rappers. I think
remember the Young Black Teenagers?
Yeah, Young Black Teenagers. Hell yeah, they signed to Def Jam, right?
Yeah, I think so. I forgot who they were signed to.
Yeah, they had that one joint. I just always remember dude from Juice, Rodimus. That's actually the only thing I remember about Young Black Teenagers. You take Juice out the picture, I probably forgot all about him. You got Ill Bill with Nonfiction. Dude is dope. You got. I've never heard Asher Roth. How is dude? Is dude somebody check for or something? I
mean, I think his last project wasn't too good from what I heard, but when he first came out, he had a couple joints. He had a joint with your boy, Baines.
What?
He's right outside of Philly.
Oh, what?
He's from Philly? Outside Philly? Okay.
Right outside of Philly. He's from, I forget what township that is. He's from a spot right outside of Philly.
Yeah, he had a dope song with Beans. I forgot what it was called, but he had a dope song. I got it somewhere.
All right. And then, JP, you mentioned him earlier, Mac Miller. I've never actually really heard a whole song, but anything that he's always on, I rock with. Like, he was on the joint Megan Good with Camp Low. I like his verse. He's on this joint on the Prime album with Primo and Royce. I think it's Mac Miller and Ab Soul. Like, and Mac Miller kills it. So, I mean, there's a lot of cats. And then my man Rollo just put me on to the Cat Logic out of Gaithersburg, Maryland. Yeah. You know,
it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was listening to his stuff. He reminds me a lot of Chance the Rapper, but it's like one of those things. You ever you never see a car on the road and then you buy it and then you see it every day. Like you see 50 of them every day. Like that's how I was with Logic. I had never heard his name before. Yeah. And then like the next day I started just seeing him and I'm like, oh damn, dude is white. Like
the funny thing, Logic is actually black because he's mixed. Just like J. Cole and Drake. He's mixed. But he looks white. That's the thing about it. He looks white. Yeah.
You know. Yeah. But I mean I guess just to end the show off from what we are saying, it seems like the bulk of us are saying all of us are saying the same thing. Like if it's dope. Race doesn't get in the way of what we see or what we hear. Just make dope music. And Ev, I think you bring up a great point about the executives and the people behind the scene, because like you said, if you have the passion to want to do this music and work hard for it and you've done that, it's not your fault that your music is pushed in a certain direction or more money is put behind you or anything like that. Now, there may be times when the artists are part of it. That, like you said, JP, in the beginning, if you want to contribute to the culture, some artists may not want to contribute. They just want to get in and kind of just get some money or get some paper, and then that's when there's a problem. But I think, like you said, Ev, it has a lot to do with the executives. And, I mean, I guess, like you said, I know nothing about Iggy Azalea. I didn't know she was Australian. So maybe those things are more, eye attracting to the eye or whatever. Like I said, I've never heard a song. That's T.I.'s chick, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so see, like I know nothing about this chick. So, I mean, is her stuff good? I mean, I've been dissing her, and I've only heard 2 or 3 songs in passing. But I mean, is it good?
I mean, she got fans, man. But I mean, she's not like she's the next whatever. Nah, she's average, but it's the aesthetic, man.
Right.
Puts out there.
I mean, I almost feel like it's the same thing with Nicki Minaj. I don't want Nicki Minaj winning Rap Album of the Year, and she's black, So again, it's just like her music doesn't speak to me, so it just. But then maybe I feel like maybe we just the old men in the club, and maybe it is.
No, but I think with Iggy, man, I mean I don't check for music like that, but her whole like character that she's created is some real fucked up shit, on many different levels. Like
So what is the cat like? What is her steez?
She's her steez is she's supposed to be a sister from the South. That's what she pushes.
Yeah,
like black from the South. She's like. There's a problem there. That needs to be shut down. I'm not sure why people are pushing it or supporting it like that, because it needs to be, somebody needs to check that. Like, that's not okay to do that.
Are you saying she's acting like she's from the South, like on some T.I.?
Yeah, like when she first came out, man, when I first heard her spit, man, I was like, okay. But when I heard her talk, I was like, damn, like, word? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird. You know, it's like, you know, when you hear people with accents
Like
sing, they don't sing with an accent.
Right.
When they talk, it's a different story. But this, when you rhyme, you can still have an accent. Like, she specifically sounds like somebody that's from the South. Like, you know, when she rhymes, it's crazy.
And I think even to add on to that too, I know, like, you know, the whole thing with the passion, that's cool. But I think as the audience, I think, you know, we know what the labels are doing. I think it's some of that is our responsibility to be like, nah, you know, that don't get no pass. We can't get her no pass, so we can't get this person here no pass, because we already know what the objective of the label to the masses is, and the only people that can fight that is the audience.
Right. All right, well, another dope show. You know what I mean? We talking about white folk and hip hop from the bulk of it up here. I mean, I don't think nobody up here really has a problem with it, as long as it's dope. And if it was whack, it's not because you white. It's just because you're whack. You know what I'm saying? So that's really the gist of the panel up here today. Like F said earlier, I wish we had the other three brothers on with us, because I think some other folk may have some other things to say. Thought the show was gonna be a little more controversial today, but we got the three cool brothers up here tonight. So, but yo, keep it locked. Live from the Rise Bench. Check us out, youtube.com/live from the bench. Leave us some comments. You got some ideas of shows we should do or whatever. Shout us out. You know, we'll definitely bang them out. Again, shout out to everybody over at OK Play, always holding us down. All the message boards. I don't want to leave nobody out. So, like, just respect. Thank you for checking out the show. We get with y'all next week. Peace.
Peace.